Well, egg prices hit a record high this week. So, yeah. I just don't get why anybody believed all the lies about how the guys with enough money to buy, other countries are gonna somehow lower food prices when they don't care what food prices are because they're rich. I don't understand why. Hi. Hello. Yeah, I don't know why anyone would fall for that one. Like, why would rich people give a shit about egg prices? But yeah, record high egg prices now, and we're in the middle of February, so we obviously can't blame that on any former policies or former politicians who are in office or anybody but who's calling the shots right now, can we? So, been doing a little more research on this whole bird flu versus egg prices situation that we're in here in the States. And it turns out egg prices went up 15% last month. Wonder what happened last month and who's responsible for that. I wonder who promised to lower egg prices the first day he was in office, but has only raised them ever since he somehow got back in there. Yeah, egg prices are now 15% higher, and expected to increase another 20% on top of the current prices. And people in some parts of the country, like in New York City, are paying up to $20 a carton for eggs. And I'm not even sure that's for organic eggs, just like regular ass eggs. Meanwhile, in Canada, their egg prices haven't risen. And I'm going to explain why right now. Not only haven't their egg prices risen at all in Canada, but they're not worried about egg prices rising in the future in Canada. The reason for that is, and yes, Canada is also getting hit with bird flu just like we are down here, but Canada actually tracks bird flu a lot better than we do. They have their government set up where the bird flu is immediately tracked, and there's a lot of communication between the different parts of the government that track it, and they are able to very quickly deal with any infectious situations on farms and shut it down so it doesn't spread. They're also a lot more careful. The farmers they change their clothes and their boots every time they're going to go into one of their, bird, I don't know what you would call it. It's definitely not a coop, wherever they house their birds, on these gigantic farms. And they change their clothes and their boots, and they disinfect, and they're extremely careful not to bring any contamination in. And, yeah, they have an infectious diseases wing of their government, and they take this very seriously, and have been taking the necessary steps so that it doesn't spread and cause catastrophic damage to farmers up there and their birds. But another factor is, up in Canada, the average poultry farm size, and we're talking big, huge factory farms, is 25,000 birds, which is unimaginable to the backyard farmer or homesteader or small organic farm. Anything over 50 birds is over my head and out of my control, personally. 25,000 birds is just... I can't fathom taking care of 25,000 birds. The the time and the money and the just the resources that would take is beyond anything I can fathom. But, well, let's compare 25,000 birds on an average huge poultry farm in Canada to the average US poultry farm size, which is an unbelievable, unimaginable 6 to 8 million hens. I don't even know how anybody could possibly take care of that amount of chickens. I can't imagine how many people you'd have to employ to take care of that many chickens. And obviously they're not well cared for on confined animal feeding operations in factory farms. They live out their entire lives without ever having their bedding changed, walking around in their own poop. And I doubt their feeders and waterers ever get cleaned, because how could you possibly do that for that many chickens? And I mean, there's no reason that a farm should ever have 6 to 8 million hens. Then if one of them gets infected, you're losing 6 to 8 million hens. And that might explain why people here are either already paying $20 for a carton of eggs or going to be soon. And in Canada, they're still paying, $5 for a carton of eggs or whatever. Excuse the noise in the background. I need to feed the cats, and they're beating each other up because they're impatient right now. Okay. So, once again, egg prices have risen 15% here in the US and estimated to go up another 20% as bird flu ravages giant factory farms with 6 to 8 million hens. I mean, just one of those getting wiped out is going to put a huge dent in the egg supply in this country. Imagine if they all get hit. It's going to be bad times. Whereas Canada still has bird flu, but not nearly as bad, because their farm size is a maximum of 25,000 birds, I think, or average. I mean, there should be limits on these farm sizes, don't we think? I mean, how well are these birds being cared for? It doesn't seem like animal welfare seems to be a concern in these operations, just profit, which is not helpful to us. I mean, the quality of the eggs people are getting are gonna obviously suffer. The animals are suffering. There should be a limit on farm sizes, is what I'm saying. The amount of hens you can keep in an egg production there's got to be a reasonable limit, especially with this bird flu shit. Unless, people want to keep paying $20 a carton for eggs. Wow. Where was I? Yeah. So, Canada still paying $5 for eggs. Places in the US paying $20 for eggs. Guy who's in charge of all this lying and looting the government and stealing all our money. If you have your own chickens, you might be noticing you're paying an arm and a leg for feed, and that's going to get worse too, because of all the executive orders and stuff that have hurt farmers and devastated the USDA loan and grant programs, and the other fuckery that's happening, and all the looting going on in the government. For instance, let's take the Consumer Protection Bureau that Elon's trying to shut down, right? And he's saying, oh, there's all this fraud and wasteful spending, which is it's like watching diarrhea shoot out of a horse's mouth when he says stuff like that, because the Consumer Protection Bureau is the bureau that goes after fraud and protects consumers from fraud. So this is like your bank screwed you over and they did a bunch of overdraft fees when you already had money in your account, and they stole your money and they won't give it back, and they've damaged your credit report. You could go to the Consumer Protection Bureau and be like, hey, this bank is screwing me over and they did this and I had money in my account and they, are saying I didn't and I can prove it and this and that. Now they'll go after the bank and they'll get your money back. So you want to have the Consumer Protection Bureau. It's a part of the government that actually protects you from fraud. So to say that the Consumer Protection Bureau is wasteful spending and full of fraud because people who get, maimed or hurt by one of Elon's exploding cars, or, somebody's Cybertruck catches on fire and they get burnt and they go after Elon. He wants to get rid of the Consumer Protection Bureau so that they can't help you in that case. Because he's getting rid of all the departments that have open cases and lawsuits against his companies for, hurting people. But yeah, this is a disaster and not looking great here. Wish more people would wake up.